Okay, welcome back to another video on the Maths channel. It's your teacher, Mr. Lim here, and in this video we're going to be looking at fractions. What are they? So by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to explain the origin of the word fraction and its meaning, identify the parts of a fraction, explain the difference between a proper and improper fraction, and represent fractions on a number line. So let's have a look at the first part of this lesson, the origin of the word fraction. Now, the word fraction comes from the Latin word. Forgive me if I mispronounce this, but I think it's called frangere. And basically what that means is to break into pieces. So some other words that are related to the original term include fragile, fracture, fragment. Okay, these are just three examples of words that come from that original term frangere. Right, let's have a look at the different parts of a fraction. So here we've got fractions are used to represent how many parts we have out of how many parts is being divided into. So at the top of the fraction, we call this the numerator. At the bottom of the fraction, we call this our denominator. And that line that separates them, it has a special name called a vinculum. Now, how do we remember what these are called? You don't really need to know what remember the name of the vinculum, but it's really important you know the difference between the numerator and the denominator. And so I memorize the denominator as being at the bottom because of that letter D for down. So I like to think of the denominator as down at the bottom of the fraction. All right, let's move on to the third part of this lesson, which is explaining the difference between proper and improper fractions. Now, if you're in the class, maybe pause the video and maybe discuss with the people around you what do you think the difference is between a proper and an improper fraction. Have a go. Okay, so I would explain that a proper fraction is a fraction where the numerator is smaller than the denominator. Okay, so for example, half. The numerator is smaller than the denominator. 1 is smaller than 2. Or maybe 3/4. 3 is smaller than 4. Or maybe 7/19. 7 is smaller than 19. Whereas an improper fraction is a fraction where the numerator is bigger than the denominator. For example, 3/2. 3 is bigger than 2. Or 7/5. 7 is bigger than 5. Or 20, let's go with 21/13. Numerator is bigger than the denominator. So all of these are considered improper fractions. Alright, can you think of an example when an improper fraction might be used in everyday life? Have a go. Well, I can think of an example where maybe someone might eat more than one pizza. we know that most pizzas are probably cut into 8 slices, right? So go 1, 2, 3, and 4. But what if someone ate 11 slices of pizza? So let's draw another one of these. Okay, let's say someone ate 11 slices. That's all 8 of these, plus another 3, plus another 3 slices. That means they ate 11 out of 8 pizzas. Okay, so this is an example when an improper fraction might be used. So let's have a look at representing fractions on the number line now. Represent 3 over 2, minus 5 over 2, and minus half on the number line below. So we know that we've already looked at negative numbers, okay, earlier on in the Year 7 course. So we know we should be familiar with this number line. But now we're dealing with fractions. So here we can see that each of these denominators are 2. So that means we're going to have 2 gaps, 1, 2, between each whole number. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so in order for us to have 2 gaps, we need to draw 1 line between each, right in the middle. So this represents half, this represents 2 on 2, which is 1, 3 on 2, 4 on 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2, 5 on 2, 6 on 2, etc. And if we go backwards, if we go left, we'll have minus half. Minus 2 on 2 is the same as minus 1, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. Minus 3 on 2. Minus 4 on 2, because 4 divided by 2 is 2, and we've got a minus sign in front of it, so minus 2. Minus 5 on 2. Minus 6 on 2. So the question here says, represent 3 over 2. So really, we only want you to write this bit. Minus 5 on 2. Just this bit. And minus half. Okay, we didn't really want you to write the rest. So we can get rid of all of this because we didn't need it. And that's our final answer. But I'm just going to leave that there for you so you can see what's going on. Alright. Question B. Represent 2/3, 7/3, and minus 8 on 3 on the number line below. So this time, the denominators of each of these are 3, which means we need to separate each of these whole numbers into 3 equal parts. How? By writing 2 lines. So if I were to divide this bit here by writing 2 lines, I now have 1, 2, and 3 equal parts, representing 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3, because 3 divided by 3 is 1. Okay? So let's start off this by doing that. Let's just draw 2 lines in each of these to try and separate them as evenly as possible. Alright. And now I want you to pause the video and have a go with this yourself. See if you can represent 2/3, 7/3, and minus 8 on 3 by yourself without writing any of the other fractions. Have a go. Okay, so here are the answers. Right? If you want to, what you could do, which is what I did, was I just imagined, I'm just counting. So I'm going to go to the positive numbers first. That's 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I know that's the 2/3, the 7/3. Then I'm going left. Minus 1, minus 2, minus 3/3. Whoops. Minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, 7, minus 8/3. So I'm going to write that one in. Alright. Pause the video and have a go with question C by yourself. Okay, so as we can see here, the denominators of each of these are 4. So we're going to split each whole number into 4 equal parts by drawing 3 lines. So this is what I like to do. I like to go right down the middle, split it into 2 equal halves, and then separate each half. Right down the middle, then separate each half. Right, so 5 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Minus 9 and 4. Minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Minus 2 and 4. Minus 1, 2. Okay, so remember each of these negatives, we're just going to move it left. So that tells us to move it left. Okay. Last part of this lesson. What fractions correspond to each of the different shapes positioned on these number lines? So this is what I will do. Let's first create a table. We got a circle, a square, and a triangle. Okay. So we've got question A, question B, C, and D. All right. So I'm going to do question A. Actually, no, I'll get you to pause the video, see if you can have a go with this, and then you can continue playing the video to check your answers. All right, here are the answers. So in question A, the circle is 3 on 2, the square is 7 on 2, and the triangle is 10 on 2. So because it's split into 2, if we have a look at each of these whole numbers, split into 2 parts, that's why the denominator is 2. So the circle, 0, 1, 2, 3 over 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 over 2, 8, 9, 10 over 2. Alright, for question B, we can see that each of these whole numbers are split into how many different spaces or intervals? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the denominator for all of these will be out of 5. So the circle, 1 out of 5. Square, 2, 3, 4 out of 5. Triangle, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 out of 5. Alright, and the same will go with C. It's just out of 7, and D will be out of 3, because there are 3 spaces within each. Now let me just go through D because this one has negative numbers. So because we know that there's 3 gaps, all of our fractions will be out of 3. Now the circle is actually positive because it's to the right of 0. So that's 2 out of 3. The square is negative, it's to the left of 0. So we're going to go -1, -2 out of 3. And the triangle will just be -1 out of 3. Alright, so that's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. So hopefully by now you know what fractions are. You know where it comes from, its meaning. You can identify the parts of a fraction, the numerator, the denominator, the most important parts. Explain the difference between a proper and improper fraction, and actually represent fractions on a number line, including negative fractions. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give a like and subscribe. Have a good one. See you guys next video. Bye.